Thanks, Joe. So as a recap of the entire day, I thought we could revisit the 3 themes of the workshop and maybe touch on some of the highlights that we talked about in the presentations and also in the interactive discussion and Menti questions. So the 3 themes are highlighted in blue in the slide, and they are: what is wetland resilience? How do we manage for resilience under changing environmental conditions? And how can resilient wetlands boost the health and resilience of coastal communities? So we kicked off the workshop with touching on a definition of resilience to use sort of as a working definition by some of the first talks, and that talked about sensitivity and adaptive capacity of a system. There was talk about salt marsh vulnerabilities to sea level rise and storms, and discussion of different frameworks and tools, including EPA's Relative Wetland Vulnerabilities Framework. Related to the second theme, we talked about the implications of vulnerability. There was a case study discussion of salt marsh sparrow nesting habitat and how sea level rise could affect that habitat. We talked about trying to link different tools and try to harmonize these tools so that they could either be used together or just be available as a resource, depending upon the targets, the questions, and the specific situation. We had a talk about migration corridors with a specific emphasis on the hazardous and contaminated sites in the migration corridor, which really links nicely with social effects on those coastal communities. And the last theme, examining how resilient wetlands might boost the health of coastal communities. We talked about better engagement with stakeholders. There was talk about cooperative adaptive management. And then we had a couple of talks on the valuation of wetland benefits. And that included some specific attention to carbon sequestration and greenhouse gas abatement. So we really had some wonderful talks and discussion. I know personally I've gained a lot of insights and have lots of different aspects to think more about. And I'm looking forward tomorrow to have more talks and to continue to learn more. Let's see, my next slide. I'm just going to highlight that we'll have partner talks. We'll have some partners from the Mid-Atlantic talking to us about resilient coastal wetland benefits, some of their research and partnerships. There'll be a talk on decision-making and tools for implementing resilience interventions. And there'll be a second panel from the Northeast where speakers will talk about implementing salt marsh adaptation and restoration actions. And there'll also be attention to building resilient wetlands and resilient communities. And the last exciting aspect tomorrow will be a synthesis of both days, looking across regions and organizations and trying to come up with some standard methodologies, some ideas about how we can improve what's known, what might be some of the gaps in our understanding, and what are some collective wetland resiliency ideas that might be applied in the future. Jordan, do you want to add anything to this wrap up?
That was pretty good. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. The Mentimeter inputs are absolutely fascinating. We've had a lot of fun trying to link up our themes and topics with interesting questions. And this is going to build out even more tomorrow. So please come back tomorrow and bring all your friends, because it's only going to get more expansive and more interesting with the interactive discussions tomorrow. So thank you very much, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks again.
So I'll just add that the Menti is still open, so we'll keep it open right till 4 o'clock. So to provide any feedback. And again, we appreciate everyone who's used the Mentimeter and went to menti.com to provide your feedback. So to get anything of how we can improve or your feedback from today's sessions, we'll keep it open right until 4 o'clock. So thanks everyone for your participation.
Thanks.